Ahead on Golf Central, an emotional moment for Ricky Fowler after losing in a playoff to Hideki Matsuyama. World number 4 explains why this one was tough to take.
It's going to hurt because I felt like I had it.
Plus, from Ricky to a robot, we count down the most outrageous moments from the craziest and loudest hole in golf.
It is the massive party that's called the Super Bowl, and golf also had its biggest celebration this weekend as well. Did golf actually exceed the NFL this weekend pass?
And we'll introduce you to a European on a mission, not just to make the Ryder Cup, but to take Jordan Spieth's #1 spot. It's ahead right now on Golf Central.
Golf Central. Brought to you by Titleist.
It is one of the most picturesque scenes in all of golf this week on the PGA Tour. They're in the Monterey Peninsula for the 75th edition of the AT&T Pebble Beach National Pro-Am. 156 pros, 156 amateurs playing side by side in what is always one of the most entertaining weeks on the schedule. Thanks for stopping in. Lisa Cornwell, Trip Eisenhower, Tim Rosafort, Matt Adams are going to join us in just a minute on Golf Central. In case you're one of those people who flipped over to watch the start of the Super Bowl last night, you missed one heck of a battle between Ricky Fowler and Hideki Matsuyama. Let's take you out there. Final round of the Waste Management Phoenix Open, Scottsdale, Arizona. Trip, I know you like how this guy's playing. Fowler,
Oh, yeah.
He has a 2-shot lead at the drivable par 417.
And here, it's 300 yards to the front edge. People are going to second guess this using this club off the tee. That was a horrible break landing on the downslope there. That ball carries just 2 yards further. He's up there putting for eagle. Instead, it goes in the water. He's going to make a bogey on one of the easiest holes on the golf course.
And you can tell he's frustrated. That golf ball had a lot of heat on it. How about Matsuyama now one back playing alongside, chipping here?
Well, he hit 3-wood off the tee, so that's why he's chipping and not over the green, but he was, in fact, one of the best all week in chipping the ball close. Perfect example there.
So watch out. Now we're tied at the top at 13 under here at the par 4 18th. Matsuyama for birdie to take the lead.
17 feet, 8 inches away, and Hideki Matsuyama right there, 14 under par, and says, catch me if you can.
Now, Fowler got a good read off of it, so
Well,
what would he do?
He did, and Ricky Fowler didn't putt his best the last 3 days, but when he needed to, he topped Hideki Matsuyama. Great stuff.
So you know what's happening. The Super Bowl's getting near. These guys don't care because we're going to playoff hole number 2 for birdie here. This is Fowler.
Well, they're back playing 18 for the second time. They both made par the first time. Second time, Ricky Fowler, 14.5 feet away. There's a 3, and he says, Hideki, catch me if you can.
Was talking about nerves of steel, comparing him to Tiger Woods. What would Hideki do? He has some nerves.
Unbelievable. Just remarkable stuff out of both these players. And there you can see the great sportsmanship that is the PGA Tour.
So playoff hole number 4. Here we go. Back to 17. Ricky now with a 3-wood this time.
Yeah, and this is the problem with the 3-wood. A driver on this line would have gone in the water as well, but there you can see it. That's in the drink.
And Fowler would make bogey. Keep in mind, this is all happening. The Super Bowl is taking place. Gaga's already sung. Matsuyama, all he has to do is tap in for par to capture this tournament. Ricky Fowler, let's talk about him because he's put on quite a show around the world the last few months. 4 top 5s in 5 starts, highlighted by the win in Abu Dhabi. That moved him up to number 4 in the official world golf ranking, the highest position of his career. Fowler showed some emotion, though, afterwards in his press conference. This one was one he wanted pretty badly.
It's going to hurt because I felt like I had it. I wish I would have putted a little bit better the past 3 days, but man, I made a lot of good swings, so I felt like I had it, especially the way I was swinging. 17, I was a bit unfortunate. I hit it right on line, hit it exactly where I was looking, and so that's kind of the unfortunate part, to hit the shots that I did and to pull them off, and then kind of backfired there, hit a perfect shot. The hard part is having, you know, all my friends and family and Grandpa and my dad who haven't seen me win. So, but I'll be able to kind of hang with them tonight. So I'll be all right, but with how good I'm playing, I know I can win. So that's the hard part.
Golf Channel insider Tim Rosafort joining us. Matt Adams, host of Fairways of Life on SiriusXM, also with us. Matt, I want to start with you. I'm sure you talked about it on your show this morning. We don't often see this kind of emotion, right, in a press conference, but it kind of makes sense given what Ricky Fowler was playing for that week.
It's been an interesting week because this week of the Waste Management Phoenix Open, first we heard Bubba Watson criticized for being as honest as he was in front of the world media and beyond. And then we see Ricky break down in tears because of his disappointment of being unable to close this one out. But I wonder, Lisa, if it is a microcosm of the year that will be, because if you look at Ricky Fowler's schedule, there has to be some measure of fatigue that was playing in there, atop of the emotion of playing in front of his family and wanting this one so badly. It's only going to get more busy as 2016 unfolds.
You can't make this stuff up, which is what's so beautiful about it. It's so authentic. And first time we saw that type of emotion out of Ricky, which made it even seem bigger than it was at the time. And it shows the qualities of Ricky Fowler. You know, we see the outfits and we see the flash and we see all the great golf that he plays. But when he gets right down to it, it showed how close he was to his family and really, Tripp, I think we look at the great players of today and we think about their personalities, their backgrounds, what good people they are. And that really speaks to where Ricky came from, the family that he had out in California and also his grandparents as well.
Let's talk a little bit about the golf, because you mentioned 17, going with the driver, then opting for the 3-wood. Was it a mistake? Were you watching it thinking, what's he doing?
No, not a mistake at all. Look, Ricky Fowler hit the right shot, the exact right shot with the driver. We got to remember how well he drove his golf ball coming down the stretch. And last year, and people may not remember, but Brooks Koepka, your ultimate winner here at 17, well, he chose a 3-wood. Now, Brooks Koepka a little bit longer than Ricky Fowler, but these are the things that happen when you win a golf tournament versus when you lose them. Ricky got a horrible break. There you can see he flew that all the way onto the green. Now, different hole location, all the way in the back, a very difficult hole location, but that ball ultimately would just barely stay up. And there is Brooks Koepka to go on to be your champion. Now, I want you to watch where this ball pitches. Beautiful cut, the danger's to the left, and as a player, he's thinking that ball is right there on the green, but it landed on the downslope there, and that propelled it forward, and very unlucky to not go in that bunker, because if he goes in that bunker, that is a very simple up and down for Ricky Fowler, and for sure if he's in that bunker, there is no way that he makes a 5 on that hole. He at least puts a 4 on the scorecard. So Ricky Fowler, right shot. He hit the driver, and the other thing too is if that ball had carried maybe 5 yards further, it would have hit into the upslope and rolled up there, and he would have had a 15-20 footer for eagle, and we'd be talking about Ricky Fowler as your champion, because going away he would have won this golf tournament. But a lot of things to be proud of. Sure, he's disappointed for not winning with his family there, or his father and his grandfather, but you know what, Ricky's going to have plenty of chances to win, and they're going to have plenty of chances to see him do that.
This is a teachable moment for Ricky Fowler. I mean, he knows, and talking to Butch Harmon today, what he did maybe wrong in that situation was not to judge the adrenaline that goes through his body. And we saw that tee shot he hit last year at the Players' Championship, that bomb he hit over the corner, maybe the drive of the year, arguably the drive of the year. And that's what Harmon took away with this, talking to Joe Scaveron, who's Ricky's caddy. You know, why didn't he hit the 3-wood in that case? Well, the reason why he didn't hit the 3-wood is because of what happened in the playoff. You know, he hit a bad shot and he hits it in a pond. So it's maybe a bad mental decision, but not really. It was just more than anything else, a learning experience and learning to deal with all that adrenaline when he's in that situation. Hits it incredibly long for a little guy.
Yeah, plus, you know, you get good bounces, you get bad bounces, and that really was, as Tripp illustrated, a very, very bad bounce for him. It reminded me kind of Tom Watson at Turnberry in 2009, coming into 18, where he hit it short and it hit the downslope. He was still 4.7 strokes gained tee to green for the week. And I think it's interesting that it wasn't that long ago we were having a debate over whether Ricky Fowler really was the 4th in the Big 4. And now I think he emphatically has sold it to the world that he deserves a position.
You think about all the putts and all the saves he made until that moment, right? He looked like a closer, didn't get it done, but he came as close as you can come to closing, as I guess, as you can get.
In his defense with the driver, I just noticed it. It looked like he was choking it a little bit, so I don't know if he was trying to take a little bit off of it.
He's trying to hit the cut, just like
this. Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to have more on Ricky Fowler, what gives him the edge to get his first major. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, but let's switch gears and talk about our winner, Hideki Matsuyama. The victory makes him a multiple winner on the PGA Tour. And it puts him in some pretty elite company, joining Jordan Spieth and Patrick Reed as the only players right now who are 25 or younger and have more than one title. There's something about Matsuyama's swing, his tempo, his ball striking. For me, it's mesmerizing, Tripp, but really, you mentioned it, it was the putter that got him the win on Sunday.
Well, it was. Now, he still was 31st in strokes gained putting for the week. It was actually his ball striking, no question about it, that gave him the chance. But if we look at, here's one thing that I think Hideki Matsuyama needs to look at is the amount of time that he takes over a putt. We're going to go to 18, and in regulation, we're going to compare Ricky Fowler and look at his time over the ball in a key putt. You really want to be more reactive as a player in these situations and not very deliberative, because that's where you fall into trouble and that's where the mental mistakes can fall in. There you can see Ricky Fowler, 14 seconds, and I guarantee you if you put a clock on him on the putting green on Tuesday, that's exactly the amount of time that he would take on the 72nd hole to get into it. Now, this is the thing, Hideki, it does have a long stroke. It matches the tempo of his golf swing. I would advise him not to change that. That would be disastrous for Hideki. But he can speed this part of it up and get a little more athletic, a little more bounce, a little more, he looks wooden there. And of course you can see the difference in the time. He's already 6 seconds over the ball longer, and he took a little bit longer than Ricky from the last look to the time he made the putt. Now, he made the putt, so credit to Hideki Matsuyama, no question about it. But I think if you look at what he does, positioning his golf ball around a golf course during a tournament, he's one of the best in the business as far as striking his golf ball. The statistics bear that out. But it's the putting that definitely is what keeps him from probably getting that next hurdle into a major championship, because you cannot just ball strike your way to a major championship. You've got to have all those aspects, and you have to be a fantastic putter. Not to say that he cannot develop into one, but I think that's the issue for him, is not be so wooden over it in the pre-shot routine and get a little more reactive. And don't change that stroke, but just change the part before you hit the ball.
Ball strike your way to championship. I like that, a major.
We've known this kid was for real since the President's Cup at Muirfield Village a couple years ago, and you think what he's done out on tour, just statistically, 17 top 10s in 65 starts, 11 top 5s in those 65 starts. And to think what he did yesterday with, obviously, was Fowler's crowd, and Fowler looked like he had him finished a couple of times. To hang in there with Fowler with that type of, with that many eyeballs on you, and then to close it out after not having won last year, after not having won since Muirfield Village a couple of years ago, showed what type of player this 24-year-old is. Excuse me, 23-year-old. He's going to be 24 at the end of February.
It certainly seems like his tempo seems to be a reflection of his overall temperament, but the way that he was able to perform when all of that pressure was crushing around him, he did go from 19th to 12th in the world rankings this week that came out today, so a nice move for Matsuyama and a very nice record. But as Tripp was alluding to, when you have the steely nerves of youth and when you look like, as Johnny Miller phrased it yesterday in our Golf Channel and NBC coverage, that he froze over the ball at times, that's something you do have to keep an eye on.
Something worth watching, but definitely a great performance by both players. Well, changes are coming to the PGA Tour Latino America schedule. Let's talk about it. Officials told players Friday that two events, the Guatemala Open and the Honduras Open, have been moved to later dates this spring because of concerns with the Zika virus. The tour's president says the move allows both events to be played at a time when the weather will be drier. That's an important factor, given this virus is primarily spread through bites from infected mosquitoes, which thrive in areas with standing water.